The Meridian High Command Central Chamber fell silent as Supreme Commander Vector activated the holographic display of Earth. The blue-green planet rotated slowly, various data streams highlighting its military installations, population centers, and resource deposits. Vector's crystalline exoskeleton reflected the soft blue light as he addressed the assembled commanders. "This primitive world," he began, his voice resonating through the chamber, "represents the final piece in our expansion through this sector. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their military forces are divided by arbitrary planetary boundaries. They will fall within days." Commander Zira, her battle-scarred exoskeleton bearing the marks of 1,000 conquests, studied the display with growing concern. "Supreme Commander, with respect, our preliminary scans show unusual patterns in their technological development. They've progressed from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary spaceflight in less than 2 centuries. All the more reason to strike now." Vector dismissed her concerns with a wave of his upper appendage. "Before they become a genuine threat, the operation begins in 6 planetary rotations." As the commanders filed out of the chamber, Zyra lingered, her sensor arrays focused on the strange readings emanating from Earth. Something about their development curve didn't match any species they'd encountered in their millennia of conquest. But orders were orders, and the Meridian Empire had never failed to subjugate a target world. The invasion began precisely as planned. Meridian warships emerged from fold space above Earth's major cities, their massive forms blocking out the sun. The initial strikes targeted military installations, power grids, and communication centers, standard procedure for minimizing resistance and inducing panic. But something went wrong almost immediately. Instead of the expected chaos and surrender, humanity's response was unprecedented. Within hours of the first strikes, civilian communication networks adapted to route around destroyed infrastructure. Military bases that appeared destroyed continued to launch counterattacks from underground facilities. And most disturbing of all, humans began adapting Meridian targeting systems almost immediately, using the debris from fallen ships to improve their own weapons. Zira watched from her command ship as another human fighter squadron executed an impossible maneuver, using the planet's magnetic field to mask their approach before launching primitive but devastatingly effective missiles at her support vessels. She had lost 3 ships in the past hour alone. "Impossible," one of her bridge officers muttered, watching the humans retreat using tactics they'd seemingly invented on the spot. "They're learning too fast. These tactics weren't in any of their military databases. They're not following any doctrine." Zyra realized, her crystalline form vibrating with growing understanding. "They're innovating in real time. Each squadron, each unit, they're all adapting independently." Transmission from Supreme Command interrupted her analysis. Vector's form appeared, his usual confident posture notably absent. "Commander Zira, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from multiple human research facilities. They've begun examining our fallen technology. How are they decoding our system so quickly?" Before she could respond, alarms blared across her bridge. Human forces had somehow reconfigured their satellite network into a makeshift weapon, using it to detect and target Meridian cloaking systems. Across the planet, Meridian ships were becoming visible, exposed to the increasingly accurate human counterattacks. "Supreme Commander," Zyra reported, watching another of her ships fall to human ingenuity, "we must withdraw and reassess. These humans, they're not just fighting back. They're evolving their tactics and technology with each engagement. Our standard conquest protocols are failing." "Unacceptable." Vector's response was immediate. "No primitive species has ever repelled a Meridian invasion. Commit our reserve forces, overwhelm them with superior numbers." But as Zira watched the battle unfold, she knew it was already too late. Humanity wasn't fighting like a primitive species defending their territory. They were fighting like a force that had spent millennia preparing for this exact moment, yet somehow improvising strategies that had never been seen in the history of warfare. As her flagship shuddered under another innovative human attack, Zyra made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. She began secretly copying all data about human adaptation and innovation. The Meridian Empire had made a grave mistake, and understanding how could mean the difference between survival and extinction. The humans weren't just defending their world. They were rewriting the rules of warfare with every passing hour, and the mighty Meridian Empire had no choice but to learn fast or face a force unlike anything they'd encountered in their long history of conquest. The unexpected defense. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the underground facility beneath the ruins of MIT, surrounded by holographic displays showing the dissected systems of a crashed Meridian fighter. 3 weeks had passed since the initial invasion, and humanity's response had shocked even her. Their technology isn't actually more advanced than ours, she explained to the assembled military leaders and scientists. It's just different. They developed along purely logical lines, never making the intuitive leaps that characterized human innovation. General Marcus Rodriguez, his uniform bearing the dust from recent battles, stepped closer to examine the crystalline components scattered across the lab tables. "Can we use this?" Sarah's tired face broke into a smile. "We already are. Their crystalline tech interfaces perfectly with our quantum computing systems. It's like they accidentally created the missing piece we needed for our next technological leap." Across the globe, similar scenes played out in hidden facilities. Humanity had spent decades preparing for alien contact, but not in the way anyone had expected. Instead of building massive defense systems, they had created adaptable infrastructure and flexible technological frameworks that could incorporate any new advancement. In orbit, Commander Zura watched with growing unease as her sensors detected bizarre energy signatures from Earth's surface. The humans weren't just copying Meridian technology. They were combining it with their own systems in ways that should have been impossible. Another squadron lost, her tactical officer reported. "The humans have developed some kind of hybrid weapon system. It bypasses our shields as if they don't exist." Zura's crystalline form vibrated with frustration. The Empire's standard protocols for dealing with primitive species had no provisions for this situation. Every defeat was supposed to demoralize the humans, but instead, each loss seemed to fuel their innovation. Back on Earth, Sarah's team made another breakthrough. "The crystalline structure of their tech," she announced, holding up a transparent shard. "It's not just their ships. It's them. The Meridians are living crystals, and they think like crystals, in rigid, unchanging patterns." This revelation spread quickly through human defense networks. Within hours, new tactics emerged. The remaining human air forces began using chaotic, unpredictable attack patterns that the Meridian targeting systems couldn't track. Ground forces deployed electromagnetic pulse weapons modified with frequencies that disrupted crystalline thought patterns. Supreme Commander Vextor received the reports with increasing alarm. His invasion force, the most powerful ever assembled by the Empire, was being systematically dismantled by a species that had barely achieved spaceflight. "Impossible," he muttered, watching another battle group fall to human innovations. "They're adapting too quickly. These patterns of advancement violate all known models of technological development." But humanity wasn't following any model. In cities around the world, civilian engineers and hackers joined the war effort, finding new ways to repurpose everyday technology into weapons and defenses. Teenagers with gaming computers helped predict Meridian attack patterns. Social media networks transformed into early warning systems. Sarah's team made their biggest breakthrough yet. By studying the captured Meridian technology, they discovered that the aliens' rigid crystalline nature was both their greatest strength and their critical weakness. "Their entire civilization is built on perfect order," she explained to the Emergency World Council. "They can't handle chaos, not just tactically, but fundamentally. Their crystalline brains literally can't process rapid, unpredictable change." This understanding changed everything. Humanity didn't need to match the Meridian's technological level. They just needed to be unpredictable enough to overload the aliens' ability to adapt. Commander Zyra watched in horror as her fleet's carefully coordinated attack patterns fell apart in the face of seemingly random human counterattacks. Their hybrid weapons didn't just damage Meridian ships, they introduced chaos into the very crystalline structures that made up both their technology and their bodies. "We must withdraw," she urged Supreme Command. "These humans, they're not just fighting our ships. They're fighting the very way we think." But the Meridian Empire had never retreated, and Vextor wouldn't be the first Supreme Commander to break that tradition. As he prepared to commit even more forces to the battle, he failed to notice that the humans weren't just defending anymore. They were preparing something bigger, something that would challenge not just the invasion, but the very foundation of Meridian civilization. Counterstrike. Captain Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the HSS Prometheus, humanity's first starship built with hybrid Meridian human technology. What had started as a desperate defense of Earth had evolved into something unprecedented. A counter-invasion. "All systems integrated," her XO reported, monitoring the ship's unique fusion of crystalline and quantum technologies. "The Meridians won't be able to detect us. We don't match any signature they're programmed to recognize." Maya nodded, studying the tactical display showing their first target. A major Meridian supply line running through the Ta City system. They expect perfection, symmetry, and order. Let's show them something different. The Prometheus wasn't alone. Across the solar system, other hybrid ships prepared for humanity's first coordinated offensive. Each vessel represented a different combination of technologies, ensuring that the Meridians couldn't adapt to any single configuration. In his command center, Supreme Commander Vextor received increasingly confused reports. His supply ships were vanishing without trace. Scout vessels reported impossible sensor readings, ships that appeared to be made of both crystal and chaos, following attack patterns that defied all military logic. "Find them," he ordered, his crystalline form vibrating with barely controlled fury. No primitive species can hide from the Empire's sensors. But the humans weren't hiding. They were everywhere and nowhere, using the very predictability of Meridian sensor systems against them. The hybrid ships could appear as space debris one moment and vanish completely the next, their quantum systems introducing random variables that the Meridians' rigid detection protocols couldn't process. Commander Zyra, now tasked with protecting the supply lines, watched her carefully arranged defensive grid collapse in the face of human chaos theory applied to space combat. The human ships didn't just attack, they seemed to revel in being unpredictable. "They're not following any known tactical doctrine," she reported to High Command. "Each attack is different. They're improvising in real time." Back on the Prometheus, Maya orchestrated what appeared to be random attacks, but followed a deeper pattern, one based on human understanding of complex systems and emergent behavior. Each seemingly chaotic strike was actually part of a larger strategy to overwhelm the Meridians' ability to adapt. Dr. Sarah Chen, now coordinating the scientific effort from Earth, had made another breakthrough. Their crystalline nature doesn't just make them vulnerable to chaos, she explained to the War Council. It makes them vulnerable to resonance. Every time they try to adapt to our attacks, they create new patterns we can disrupt. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just fighting the Meridian Empire. They were attacking the very foundation of Meridian cognition. Each unpredictable attack forced the crystalline minds to try to form new patterns, making them increasingly brittle. Maya's fleet struck again, this time targeting a major Meridian manufacturing hub. The hybrid ships danced through the defensive grid, their quantum-enhanced weapons introducing cascading chaos into the perfectly ordered Meridian production lines. "Status report," Vextor demanded, watching another facility fall to the human assault. "Unknown, Supreme Commander," his advisors admitted. "They're attack patterns. They're not patterns at all. We can't predict where they'll strike next, because they don't know themselves until the moment of attack." The truth was becoming clear. The Meridian Empire had not just underestimated humanity's technological capabilities, they had fundamentally misunderstood how humans waged war. Where the Meridians sought perfect order, humans embraced controlled chaos. Where the Empire relied on unchanging protocols, humanity thrived on adaptation and innovation. Commander Zoira, watching another supply convoy disappear into quantum-shifted space, came to a stunning realization. "They're not trying to defeat our forces," she reported to High Command. "They're trying to force us to adapt. And every adaptation makes our crystalline networks more unstable." As the Prometheus led another seemingly random strike, Maya allowed herself a small smile. The Meridians had expected to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't understand, a civilization that turned unpredictability into an art form and chaos into a weapon. But even as humanity's counteroffensive gained momentum, neither side realized that the greatest shock was yet to come. In the darkness between the stars, other species were watching, species who had suffered under Meridian order for millennia. And they were beginning to see something new in humanity's resistance: hope, the hidden weapon. Ambassador Elena Santos stood before the holographic assembly of alien representatives, each species a victim of Meridian expansion. Some appeared as swirling clouds of gas, others as beings of pure energy, and still others in forms human minds could barely comprehend. All shared one thing in common: they had been forced to conform to Meridian order, their natural chaos suppressed under crystalline control. "We offer you more than alliance," Elena addressed the gathering. "We offer you permission to be yourselves again." The Prometheus, now deep in what was supposedly secure Meridian space, had made first contact with the Nebulans, a gaseous species whose natural state of constant change had been literally crystallized by Meridian control systems. Captain Maya Patel had recognized the potential immediately. "Their entire empire is built on forcing order onto chaos," she had reported back to Earth, "and we just found their warehouse of suppressed chaos." Dr. Sarah Chen's latest research supported this discovery. The Meridians didn't just conquer these species, she explained to the War Council. They've been using crystalline technology to freeze them into acceptable patterns. It's like forcing a storm to behave like a mountain. The implications were staggering. Every world the Meridians had conquered contained potential allies who understood their weaknesses intimately. Each species represented a different form of chaos that could overwhelm Meridian order in unique ways. Commander Zera detected the first signs of rebellion when a Nebulan mining colony suddenly reverted to its gaseous state, its population free-flowing through Meridian containment systems, as if they didn't exist. Similar reports began flooding in from across the Empire. Energy beings breaking free of their crystalline prisons, shapeshifters refusing to maintain single forms, hive minds splitting into billions of independent thoughts. "Impossible," Supreme Commander Vexter declared, watching his perfect empire descend into beautiful chaos. "How are they coordinating these attacks?" But there was no coordination, and that was exactly the point. Humanity had shown these species something they had forgotten. That chaos wasn't a weakness to be controlled, but a strength to be embraced. The Prometheus led a fleet of hybrid ships into the heart of Meridian space, but they weren't attacking military targets anymore. Instead, they were delivering weapons far more devastating to the crystalline empire. Ideas, hope, permission to change. Elena moved through the growing alliance, learning from each species. The quantum collective taught humans how to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The Void Dancers shared their understanding of movement through dimensions the Meridians couldn't perceive. The Storm Kings showed them how to turn entropy itself into a weapon. "Your species awakened us," the Nebulan Elder told Elena, its gaseous form swirling with colors humans had no names for. "We had forgotten that change was our nature. The Meridians made us forget, made us think we had to be like them. Fixed, unchanging, perfect." Sarah's team worked tirelessly to understand each species' unique abilities, finding ways to integrate their natural chaos into the hybrid technology humanity had developed. The result was weaponry that didn't just damage Meridian ships, it reminded them of everything they feared about the universe. Commander Zyra watched in horror as perfect formations of Meridian warships encountered waves of pure chaos. Nebulons flowed through hull breaches, dissolving crystalline circuits with their mere presence. Energy beings danced through solid matter, disrupting the carefully maintained patterns of Meridian thought. Shapeshifters mimicked Meridian forms perfectly before shattering into impossible configurations. "We are facing an army of nightmares," she reported to High Command. "Every species we tried to perfect has become perfect chaos." Maya stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching the sensor displays light up with rebellion after rebellion. Humanity hadn't just found allies. They had reminded the galaxy that diversity wasn't a flaw to be corrected. The Meridian Empire had spent millennia trying to impose perfect order on a chaotic universe. Now that chaos was finally fighting back. But even as the Alliance grew stronger, Supreme Commander Vextor was preparing a response that would test humanity's greatest strength, their ability to adapt. The Meridian Empire had one final weapon, one born from their attempt to understand the very force they had always feared, chaos itself. Empires fall. The Meridian homeworld's crystalline surface reflected the light of 3 suns as Supreme Commander Vextor activated the Empire's ultimate weapon. 1,000 years of studying conquered species had led to this, a massive crystalline matrix designed to impose perfect order on reality itself. "If chaos defines them," Vextor announced to his commanders, "then we will simply remove chaos from the equation." Dr. Sarah Chen detected the disturbance first. "The space-time fabric itself is crystallizing," she reported, her voice tight with concern. "They're trying to force the universe to follow their patterns." The effects spread rapidly. Quantum probabilities collapsed into single outcomes. Random events became predictable. The very chaos that made life possible began to fade from the galaxy, replaced by cold, perfect order. The Alliance's forces felt it immediately. Nebulan warriors found themselves freezing into fixed shapes. The Void Dancers couldn't shift between dimensions. Even human creativity seemed to slow, their thoughts becoming more linear, more Meridian. Captain Maya Patel watched from the Prometheus as her hybrid systems began to crystallize. "They're not just attacking us," she realized. "They're trying to rewrite the fundamental laws of reality." But in their desperation to impose order, the Meridians had overlooked something crucial. Ambassador Elena Santos, working with the combined scientific knowledge of a dozen species, had discovered the fatal flaw in their plan. "Chaos isn't just a state of being," she explained to the Alliance leadership. "It's the source of all innovation, all life, all consciousness. By trying to eliminate it completely." She didn't need to finish. The effects were already visible. As perfect order spread across Meridian space, their own civilization began to stagnate. Their crystalline minds, deprived of even the smallest element of chaos that had allowed them to function, started to become truly rigid. Commander Zyra, who had long suspected the truth, watched in horror as her fellow Meridians began to lose the very thing that had made them sentient. "We needed chaos," she transmitted to the Alliance. "We just never understood how much." Humanity, true to form, found opportunity in crisis. Dr. Chen's team discovered that the crystallization effect had a unique property. It conducted thoughts and intentions like a vast neural network. The more the Meridians tried to impose order, the more connected everything became. They turned the galaxy into one giant crystalline computer, Sarah realized. And like all computers, it can be reprogrammed. Maya finished, a plan already forming. The Alliance launched its final offensive, but not with weapons. The Prometheus led a fleet directly into the heart of Meridian space. Energy beings transformed into pure information, flowing through the crystalline matrix. Nebulons became quantum uncertainty given form. And humans did what they did best. They introduced new ideas. Through the vast crystalline network that now connected all of space, they shared everything. Art, music, dreams, hopes, fears, love, loss, all the beautiful chaos of existence. The network, designed to impose order, instead became a conduit for everything the Meridians had tried to suppress. Supreme Commander Vextor felt it first, genuine emotion, raw and uncontrolled, flooding through his crystalline consciousness. Around him, the perfect order of the Meridian Empire began to transform. The crystalline matrix, exposed to the full spectrum of life's chaos, didn't break or shatter. Instead, it changed. The rigid crystals became flexible, incorporating chaos into their structure rather than trying to eliminate it. The Meridian ships, their crews, even their homeworld began to shift into something new, a fusion of order and chaos, pattern and possibility. Commander Zoira, watching her civilization transform, finally understood. "We thought perfection meant eliminating chaos," she transmitted to all frequencies. "But true perfection is finding harmony between order and chaos." In the end, the Meridian Empire didn't fall to weapons or warfare. It fell to an idea spread through the very system they had created to destroy it. The idea that strength comes not from imposing order on chaos, but from learning to dance with it. Years later, the Lena stood in the new Galactic Council chamber, now a hybrid of crystalline architecture and flowing quantum spaces. Representatives of 1,000 species, including the transformed Meridians, gathered to share their unique perspectives on the universe. Maya, her ship now exploring the furthest reaches of known space, would report back on wonders that defied both order and chaos. Sarah's research team, working with scientists from across the galaxy, discovered new principles that unified both forces into something greater than either. And humanity, the species that had reminded the galaxy how to embrace chaos, continued to innovate, create, and explore, now with the wisdom to know that the greatest achievements come not from conquering the unknown, but from learning to become one with it. The universe, they had discovered, was neither ordered nor chaotic. It was alive with endless possibility, ever changing, ever growing, and ever surprising, just like them.